Hi everybody, welcome to VTS35. 35 of these things, jeez. I'm still older than 35, so it's not yet to my age. Anyways, welcome January 2008. I hope your January has been good. Mine, I've had better Januaries, but that's okay. We're all good here, life's good, and we're ready to rock and roll, okay? So, what are we talking about this month? Let's see, I forgot. I had a really good recipe for avocado dip, you know, like guacamole. Oh, this isn't cooking. Too much Food Network, sorry. No, not ESPN either. Oh, animation, that's right, animated stuff. All right, sometimes I forget what I'm doing here. Anyhow, yeah, we're gonna talk a bit more about acting this month. And this time we're going to talk a bit more about motivation, and also, if we get some time, maybe get into some of these, what do you call it, subconscious gesturing, emotional gesturing. But let's go ahead and take a moment and get started writing on motivation. Okay, the old funny line is always, "What's my motivation?" You know, it's like the oldest joke in actorhood, I guess. But really, what is our motivation as an actor? If I'm playing out a scene, you know, I'm looking for a way to kind of get into it, to be real, you know. So I'm looking for ways to kind of get my head, get my heart, kind of fool myself into thinking that what's happening with me, around me, is real. And that's the whole thing about an actor. They're trying to trick their mind, okay? As animators, we work outside in. Actors work inside out, okay? Animators tend to work, okay, we observe things in the body externally because we can't ever really get into the character. It's an external representation. So what we try to do as animators is we study externals, okay? And we use either the puppet or the pencil line to express externally what's happening internally, okay? What actors are doing is they're actually tricking their bodies, the external, into behaving a certain way by messing with the internals, okay? You're thinking, what is he talking about this for? It's a big difference, because if you go to an acting class, and there's a lot of acting classes that, you know, I've been to a number of them, and not many of them really have a good understanding of what the animator's job is. Because when you teach acting to actors, you're basically trying to get them to understand how to trick their body into behaving a certain way. And that's where all this method acting comes from, the internal mechanisms and all these different exercises that they have. And they're really good if you want to be an actor. They're really good for studying that stuff. As an animator, you think, unless I'm going to shoot video of myself, and then, you know, kind of what I call rotoscope light, copy it, and then change it a little bit. Unless I'm going to shoot video of myself and try to act in a visual external way, and then copy that from the video camera with my animation through the puppet, then a lot of these tricks don't work. One of the problems is there's a reason why we're animators and we're not actors. It's because we're probably not very good actors. Yeah, that's a little bit of a knock the old ego, but there's a reason why we're not actors, man. Okay, there's a few animators I know who are really good actors. Some guys are like doing stage and improv and stuff, and great for you guys. That's fantastic. But the rest of us are usually introverted, get nervous around people. A pretty girl walks in the room and we don't even know how to say our name. Okay, that's most animators I know. All right, so we're not good actors externally in the classic sense of using the internal tricks to make my body behave a certain way that, you know, as I sit in a room and I videotape myself, I trick my mind and my heart into thinking that I'm watching my favorite pet dog die. Yeah. Because that's always a scene, you know, the old Yeller. Old Yeller is dead, we had to shoot him. Yeah. And so what we have here is we got this interesting conundrum, because we go to acting classes and these guys are trying to teach you how to trick your internals to make your externals work. As animators, we work externally and inward. Okay, we have nothing except the externals to express what's happening internally. I'm thinking, what's the point of all this? It's good to know how actors approach motivation. Okay, what is my motivation? That's a good question. Motivation is why I do something. That's it. That's a fancy explanation. Motivation is why I do something. Why do I go to the bathroom? Because my bladder says, go to the bathroom before you pee yourself and embarrass yourself in front of the pretty girl when you can't speak your name in front of her. Okay, you may not be able to speak your name in front of the pretty girl. That's not a plus. But if you pee yourself while the pretty girl's in the room, that's a definite negative, okay? So we don't want to pee ourselves. So my body says, go to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom. Now, motivation can come from a lot of different things, okay? It can come from emotions. It can come from thoughts. It can come from physical stimulus, okay? It can come from internal physical stimulus. My bladder is filled with pain, I need to go to the bathroom. Or it could come from external physical stimulus. A car is coming, I have to get out of the way unless I want to get hit, okay? External physical stimulus is something happening to me. Internal physical stimulus is some kind of biological function, whether it's pain or whatever. Pain is usually a pretty common one, or excitement or nervousness. But nervousness is starting to get into that emotion area. Okay, so it's difficult to kind of differentiate between internal physical stimulus and internal emotional stimulus. And emotions, you're going to find they kind of cross over between thought and body. Okay, it's like your mind has these thoughts. Okay, I think of something, and I think of, Old Yeller and all the times that Old Yeller was my faithful dog. And now I'm sitting here with a gun in my hand, pointed at Old Yeller, who's now rabid and drooling and snarling, and he's not the same dog I used to know. Poor Old Yeller. His mind's gone. The rabies has just got him done. But here I am with the gun. Okay? So the gun's going to be kind of heavy, all right, after a while, and you're going to have to want to shoot. You have to get comfortable. So that's just purely physical, okay? The pure act of holding a rifle and shooting is a physical stimulus, okay? So we've got to work about the mechanics of how you hold a rifle, okay? A lot of animators spend a lot of time studying the mechanics of things, which is good. It's fine. It's fantastic. But mechanics alone is not acting. So the mechanics of holding the rifle is one thing, all right? The thought process goes back to a memory of Old Yeller as the puppy that I found and raised, and my faithful dog who was my friend, my best friend in the world. I go back and I think about that. And then I make another thought. I have to shoot the dog because he's never going to be good again. Okay? Those are physical mechanics and thoughts. A thought about the past, a thought about the present need of the current. Okay? So you think, well, what's the motivation? The motivation is the dog's miserable. I got to put it out of its existence because the thing is just rabid and it's never going to be a good dog and its brain is rotting away and rabies will kill it anyway, so I should just be merciful and shoot the dog. Okay? That's the whole thing of Old Yeller, the old movie. If you've never watched it, go ahead and watch it. It's a good old classic Disney tearjerker in the 1960s fashion. Anyhow, what crosses the bridge between the physical and the mental is the emotional. Okay? So the thought process is, I need to shoot the dog. Where's that born from? From a sense of sympathy for a suffering friend. Okay? My friend the dog, Old Yeller, is suffering from this disease which is rotting away his brain, is making him a terrible animal that would kill me if it could get out of the cage. So emotionally, I have this great sense of compassion to take care of the business, okay? But emotionally, I think back to the past, and I'm remembering Old Yeller the way he used to be. And so you have this emotional conflict. Conflict. Emotional conflict. The best conflicts are internal. External conflict, villain versus good guy, yawn. Big deal, okay? You need that sometimes for a story, but the best, the richest acting comes when you have internal conflicts inside of a character, emotionally, okay? There's thought processes involved as well. So the motivation is, it's sometimes in a scene like this, where out of compassion, I want to take the dog out of its misery, out of a sense of, the English word escapes me, reminiscing about the past, out of sentimentality, there we go, out of sentimentality for what he used to be and fond remembrances, I am now conflicted. It's the same animal then as it is now. The problem is Then he was healthy and he was a good dog, and now he's a rabid killer and he'd kill me as soon as he got out of that thing. But it's the same animal. So the character, the young boy with the gun, is just going to be like, well, there's a war going on. That emotional war affects the physical. Because as he's holding the gun, as he thinks about the past, he's going to kind of lower it a little bit and just kind of think. And then he has to kind of screw up, get his courage to the sticking point and go like, okay, I got to do this. And he's going to lift the gun. Okay, so little subtle changes with the shoulders and the wrist. But that's the thing. As animators, we study the externals, but we have to understand what internally is causing the externals to behave. Okay, this is why we need to understand motivation. And this is all part of what we're going to get into in as far as emotional gesturing. Okay, subconscious emotional gesturing. What's going on inside of a character's mind is also happening in their heart. Okay, mind doesn't drive things so much. Heart drives things more. Okay, movies and film is a very heart or very emotional medium. Okay, you're not going to do a very good job of teaching people high-end chemistry, biochemistry with video. Okay, because video is very difficult to communicate abstract ideas that are thought-driven. Okay, information. It's difficult to make video stick with information. There's a reason why we use books for these things, okay? It's just easier to encapsulate these things in text, and our minds process them differently. But when we see something with our eyes, we're expecting to appreciate it in the fullest form, our mind and our heart, okay? So animation is more of an emotional medium than it is an intellectual one. So we have to understand the emotional motivations. Here's the thing. You want to find out how to make your character act. Find out how they feel. Okay, now we talked about this back in VTS like 11, 12, 13, somewhere back there. But I'm going to get into it a little bit more here. It's the idea of playing something or doing something based off of a feeling until that feeling changes. Interesting. So, for instance, I have a feeling. My girlfriend of, say the last 2 years, we've really got it together, and I proposed to her and she accepted, but then we had a big fight and now she's getting on the bus to go back to Cleveland and live with her mom. Okay, and I'm at the bus station. Okay, so what's my emotion? I want to make up with her. I'm real sorry about this, please come back, and all this other stuff. Okay, so emotionally I have a goal: convince the fiance to not get on the bus and stay with me. Everything I do is driven by that emotional goal. Find out what the emotional goal is, and then play that until either the goal changes or the goal is met. Okay? So, I want to, depending on who the character is, if the character is kind of a standoffish guy, maybe he'll be a little bit different, but maybe he'll be like, well, okay, you have to understand who your character is, but generally, if you can get into the emotional concept of what the character is trying to do, what their emotional goal is. I want you to stay with me. So go chasing her, and at the bus station, the body language is going to be very tense, going to be very desperate in a long, it's going to be fight or flight going on in a lot of ways. Okay, the eyes will be a little bit wider, the breathing will be a little bit quicker. The shoulders will be a little more tense. You have to understand these things. But that's all part of that desperation. Like, please, and then there might be some of this pleading bit, where you kind of get into these little submissive things where when a guy's just like, oh, come on, he'll be getting down a little bit as if to, lower himself a little bit to her. It's all about what that motivation is, that emotional goal. The emotional goal is to get her to stay off the bus and say, all right, we'll do this. Well, I'll stay. Okay? That's the whole idea. You're going to play that and everything that comes out of that until either that goal changes or that goal is met. Okay? Your protagonist has an overarching goal throughout the whole film. Generally, if the director's any good, they're not going to have that overarching emotional goal achieved until the third act. Okay? Once that goal is achieved, roll credits. Oh, I forgot. This is animation. Have a big dance number at the end with some cheesy little pop tune, and then roll credits. Okay? But you can skip the whole cheesy pop dance thing at the end, in my opinion. I think that's been a little bit overdone. But once that overarching first goal is accomplished, then everything's done. Roll credits, okay? Belle in Beauty and the Beast. First off, she's looking for her Prince Charming. And gosh, I'm going to be alone all my life. Nobody here understands me. I just want a man who understands me and loves me for who I am, okay? All throughout the movie, she's just trying to find a man who loves her for who she is and understands her. And everything, there's obstacles along the way that come up. But when she gets the guy, at the end, the Beast turns into a guy, well, throw a party, girlfriend, because now you fell in love with ugly dude, okay? Ugly dude, being ugly dude, but he turned into an alright guy. Then he turns into a guy, well, shoot, now he's handsome. Deal's done, let's go, alright? Let me get a wedding dress and let's go. So once that goal is accomplished, the movie's done. But along the way, there are these little goals, these little emotional goals. For instance, she wants to help her father. Okay, so you're down in the basement, and she wants to help her dad because she loves her dad. That's an emotional goal. I want to help my dad accomplish this thing because I care about him. And anything that's important to him is important to me. So you have these miniature emotional goals. Once she helps him build up the thing, and there's gags involved and everything, but once she helps him achieve that little thing, building the little invention, and she sends him on her way, that emotional goal is done. Okay? And the director, the writers, the storyboard people have to introduce a new one. The new one is get away from Gaston, because Gaston makes her puke. Okay? So now she's got a new emotional goal, and everything about what she's doing is trying to get away from Gaston, or get him to go away. One way or the other, space between them. So everything she does is about putting space between them. How she holds the book, her body language, how she moves around him. And Gaston, the opposite, it's always best to have characters playing opposite goals. Okay? If you're writing or if you're thinking about a film, put two characters together who want the opposite. Okay? She wants no part of him. He wants her. Well, that's just rife with conflict. And if you've ever lived that, you know, boy, that's a lot of conflict. So you got this thing where you got her not wanting him and him wanting her. And everything about the way she does things is to try and put barriers or shields between herself and him. So when they're on the porch, she hides behind the pillar. And what does he do when she tries to walk out? He puts his arm up and he creates a barrier to keep her from leaving. So you study these scenes and you're like, wow, that's pretty clever stuff. All you're doing is just saying, what is the emotional goal of the character and how do I express that in an external sort of way? So she tries to put up barriers. So every part of her acting, every part of her body language, every part of her chosen choices of what to do and what not to do, what to grab, what not to grab, what to sit down, where to stand, where to sit, how to walk. All these choices are driven by that one motivation, that one emotional goal, get away from this guy or get him to leave me alone. And everything that Gaston does, his emotional choices, what he does, where he puts himself, how he walks, where he puts things, how he positions himself in the room, everything is about get this girl to like me. Or, in a more sinister sort of way, trap this girl so she has no choice. Okay? So that's what we're looking at. You got to play that scene until that goal is finished. Meanwhile, the overarching goal can feed into that. Okay? Belle's overarching goal as the chief protagonist of the film is she wants to find a man who loves her for who she is and understands her. Gaston obviously doesn't fit the bill. So there's this short term, I want this guy to get away from me, but it's fed by the long term. I want someone who cares about me for who I am. Okay? So you got the classic short term being fed into the long term. You can bring that frustration from the long term in and it can start feeding the short term. Nothing exists in a vacuum in the world of acting, especially when you're trying to find out the emotions. It's very, very rare that you're going to have a character with one clear single emotion. Usually we try to boil that down, especially for animation, I guess because we think kids don't get it, but better acting is going to have a mixture of emotions. Go back to the old Yeller thing where we got the past and the present, the past memories and the present need, and there's a conflict inside the character. It's a simple conflict, A-B, okay? You can get really complex, you can have A-B-C, okay? You can have multiple emotions and thoughts and time frames and goals all playing in. So we take this idea. And everything the character does expresses that internal emotional goal. Everything. Their facial expressions, how they use their hands, how their shoulders are set, how their chest, how their torso works, whether they're down like this or whether they're up like this, how they hold their feet, everything. Okay, and this is where the animator's power of external observation is absolutely necessary. Okay, I think observation is much better than copying. This is why I'm not a big fan, personally, of video reference. Me acting out in front of a camera. I've done it. I know how to do it. I've never really been particularly pleased with the results because I'm not thinking now. All I'm doing is I'm observing and copying, but I'm not really understanding a lot of times what's going on. I get too far down the detail avenue. Okay, well his brow does this. Okay, great. His brow does that. Do you know why? What does that mean? Well, I didn't really think about it. His brow does that, and so we work and work and work to recreate that thing, and we don't really understand why. So we're not observing. We're just copying. Okay. Not the same thing, okay? An artist's job is to observe, internalize, interpret, and express, okay? That's an artist's job. A camera's job is to copy. Copying is a very mechanical aspect. Internalizing, understanding, expressing is a very artistic thing, okay? Now, I said camera, but I mean, a photographer's job is to choose what to see, frame it in a certain way, capture that light onto the film plate in a way that expresses something, that says something about what that artist sees. It's an artistic tool, okay? A security camera doesn't care. A security camera up on the wall at a 7-Eleven or in the elevator or wherever it is, all it's trying to do is just capture information. Copy what it sees in a mechanical, reliable fashion so that somebody else can look at it later. Not for artistic aspects, but for just information. Okay? Don't allow yourself to get sucked down into I'm just copying things for information's sake. Take a moment, observe, and ask questions. Okay, well, why? Okay, what is that person feeling right now? Okay, so I'm observing and I say this person is feeling such and such. Aha, okay, so this person looks nervous. Okay, they look nervous. I'm not sure if they are because they're over there and I haven't introduced myself and say, hi, my name's Keith. What are you feeling right now? If you people watch, you kind of freak people out when you do that. But you sit back, you got your sunglasses on, you're just kind of sitting on the park bench and you just kind of look around, you see dude over there looks kind of nervous. Once you identify what his emotion most likely is, start observing and start taking cues and characteristics of what that person's doing physically. Look at their eyes, look at their mouth, look at how they hold their head, look what they're doing with their hands, look at how their torso is working. My clothes are done drying. All right. That's how it goes, man. We roll live here on VTS. We're raw. It's crazy. So you ask the question, what's this guy feeling? And then you start observing all these external representations of it and you start making connections, okay? And it goes in your mental scrapbook. You can even write this stuff down. If you're the drawing sort, the really good thing to do is write nervous on a page and then start doodling things and make notes, okay? Capture it. Try to understand it. So then, when you have a character who is nervous in the storyboards, you're like, I got some things to work on. I got some things to use, okay? You could, if you wanted to, get up and in front of a camera act nervous, but it's going to be your idea of what you think nervous is, but you're not really nervous. You're just trying to act nervous. See how that's like? It's like taking a Xerox black and white photo. I mean, it's like taking the Mona Lisa, the beautiful painting of the Mona Lisa, putting it on a copy machine and hitting copy, putting the Mona Lisa back up on the wall, and then holding up this black and white Xerox of the Mona Lisa painting. Not quite as magical, not quite as interesting, not quite as expressive. Factually, it captures the various tones and stuff, but it's not the same, okay? When you observe from raw, real life, and you get that emotion, and you understand what that emotion looks like in a character or in a person physically expressing themselves, That is gold, all right? When you kind of fake it, it's fool's gold. My humble opinion. But hey, you're paying me for my opinions, right? So, hey, I'm delivering as promised. So, that's what I mean by motivation. Look, understand what that emotional goal is. The larger ones, the shorter ones, there's even mid-range ones. I mean, there's all kinds of emotional goals, okay? For instance, long-range goal for Belle. Find a man who loves her for who she is and understands her. A mid-range emotional goal, escape from the castle. Okay? I don't want to be here. I don't want to deal with anything. Okay? Short-range emotional goal. I don't want to come down for dinner. I don't even want to see that beast. Multiple goals, multiple things all feeding in. Here's the thing that's important. Okay? In general, the emotional goals are going to play in echoes. Okay? And they're going to kind of feed off of each other. What I mean by echoes is the long-range emotional goal is I want to find a man who loves me for what I am. This beast is not it. So, as a result, I want to get out of this castle because my long-range goal is to get a man. This beast is not the man. I got to get out of this castle. And now this beast is saying, come down for dinner. I ain't coming. That just ain't happening. I'm going to sit right here and I ain't coming. See how it all makes sense? How it all just kind of flows together? That's because it's well written. All right. And what we want to do is we want to start asking these long-range goals, these mid-range goals. Try and find out where the character is in the story and start asking questions like, what's their long-range goal of this character? If you don't know that and you're working on a film and you don't know what the long-range goal is for a character, stop what you're doing, go find the director or the animation director, find somebody who knows and ask them this question. What is the character's long-term goal for this film? If you don't know it, you're not going to be a good animator. Sorry. You might make things move well, but you're not going to understand motivation, emotion, playing a goal, any of that stuff. Then you have to ask, what's the mid-range goal? Where are we at in the larger sequence of things? Okay? And then you have to get down to the specific, scene goals. And each of these things, sometimes the goal is going to be the same across multiple shots in a scene. Okay? So the scene where Belle is sitting in her room and the beast is outside the room, screaming and yelling, that's the scene, okay? We got that scene, but we got multiple shots in that scene, all right? Until this finds a breaking point, until one of them either gives up on their goal or meets a new obstacle, or somebody achieves their goal, or somebody gets a new goal, this thing's alive. And it's only going to be him wanting her, her not wanting him, okay? It's a pretty common theme in Beauty and the Beast, isn't it? So he's trying. And she's saying, no, 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 no. And his body language is all leaning in towards the door, and her body language is all bending away from the door, okay? It's that subconscious gesturing bit, okay? And he's all, rah, rah, rah. She's, okay? Until finally we realize, hey, my clothes are done drying again? Wow, that's crazy. Anyways, until we realize, they kind of come to a point where we can keep doing that for hours and hours and hours, but that's just insane. There comes a point where we realize this isn't going to go anywhere. So he says, fine, you can stay in there and starve. And he walks off. Somebody won that battle. The conflicting goals, the conflicting emotions. Belle wins. Beast goes away. Okay? Belle wins, he goes away. Now we have to find a new emotional goal for both characters, okay? Because we had a battle, and at the end of that battle, she won, he lost, he gave up, okay? He could not achieve his emotional goal. He was motivated by everything he did, every single pose, every single action, every single gesture, every single word, every single facial expression was all in trying to get the girl to come out, okay? It didn't work. And finally he says, fine, I have a new emotional goal. You're going to suffer. Ooh, that's pretty dark. Okay? Fine, starve. You suffer, I'm out of here. Now she has a new emotional goal. I'm hungry. See, that's driven by some internal stimulus, biological stimulus. I'm hungry. Okay? So, driven by that internal stimulus for the film, she tries to find a way to get out, so she tries to make friends, and you can go through every film and start breaking it down, scene by scene, shot by shot, sequence by sequence, the whole film, find out the emotional goals. And when you have characters in conflict, stop, think about it, and say, what's his emotional goal right now? What does he want to accomplish emotionally? All right? And if you're like, well, I'm not sure emotionally what he wants to accomplish, okay, then just go back and say, what does he want to accomplish? Okay? If you can answer that, then you can start figuring out how that goes. Okay? And for instance, with the Beast, he wants her to come out. He's not particularly well-mannered, so that's knowing his character. He wants her to come down for dinner. I want you to join me for dinner. Very brusque, very commanding, very do this, do it right now, because I'm the Beast and I run this castle and everybody here fears me and obeys me. So you're going to fear me and obey me too. Okay? There's a lot of pride, a lot of arrogance, a lot of insecurity there. Okay? And so that drives how he behaves. And then she says, no, no, no. And he gets angry. Okay? All because his goal isn't being accomplished. So his emotions are changing from arrogant to angry. Okay? And then she doesn't do it. And then he gets frustrated. And he does that beautifully animated scene that Glenn Keane did. But she's being so difficult. That's frustration. He's trying to contain it because, please, the little clock is saying, please try to be gentle. Just try. Okay? His goal is to get the guy to calm down and maybe get the two to get together, because Cogsworth wants to have a body again. He doesn't want to be a clock anymore, and he's thinking this girl's the possibility. And if you would just stop being a jerk, maybe she'd come out. So his emotional goal is to get the Beast to calm down so that the girl can come out. He wants them to get together. Okay? So that's why he's pleading with him. But you can't tell him what to do because the Beast is his master. And see, you can start unraveling all this stuff. Start picking apart the film. Who's speaking? What do they want? What are they trying to accomplish? And then find out what emotion represents that at that moment, and then start studying and expressing externally what that looks like. You're like, wow, man, that's just a lot of work. Well, if it was easy, anybody could do it. That's why we're animators, right? We do the hard stuff. Fun, but the good ones, the best animators understand how to do this stuff. They may not be able to break it down like I am, but instinctively, I'm messing up my language. Instinctively, they know what to do. They know how to kind of feel their way through a scene. My specialty is to understand how I get something done and then explain it. So this is generally, a lot of times I don't even think, okay, I ask this question and then I get this answer, and then I go over here and get this and then I go there. Normally I don't do that. Normally when I'm animating, I just play off my instincts because I know where to go and kind of get this stuff, okay? But now I'm breaking it down for you because if you're not instinctively attuned to this, well, maybe some questions will help you figure this out. All right. So I've talked a lot about motivation, emotional goals, and how that plays into the body, how to do conflict, all these things, okay? Now we can start getting into that subconscious gesturing a little bit more, okay? Which is kind of a secondary step to this. If a character is sitting next to somebody and that person, go back to Belle and Gaston, okay, Belle wants to get away from him. So she's going to not look at him. When she talks, she's not going to make eye contact. Okay, that's a subconscious thing. She's going to try and walk away. She's going to, when she moves, she's going to physically put her body in such a way we turn our back on somebody. If somebody's right there and they're talking to us, we don't really like them. A lot of times we'll just we'll talk over our shoulder at them. Why would we do that? Because we're trying to protect ourselves from that person. Yeah, sure, that's fine, yeah. It would be just as easy for us to turn around and talk to them. For instance, you got fiance and dude, they got back together. She's washing dishes at the sink. He comes up and he stands next to her. So you got two people right next to each other. So she's washing dishes and he comes in right here. Now, she can keep washing dishes and talk to him like this. Oh yeah, that's cool. Okay, so he's right here. She opens up herself to him and they're all good. But if she's still mad, she might wash dishes this way. Yeah, I understand. We use our bodies as shields. When we want something, when we find it inviting or open or we want to engage it, we'll literally our heart, we expose our heart to it. Okay? And when we don't like something, when we're not like that, we instinctively protect our heart. Emotionally and physically. It's amazing. And when we like something, when we're engaged in something, we make eye contact with it. We look at it. And we engage it intellectually and emotionally. So we use our eyes and our heart. Well, that's good. Or, yeah. You know, you can have the same thing. Really? Wow. Really? Wow. I said it the same way. You can listen to the audio. But one was like, I'm open to you. I like that. I'm engaging you. The other one was like, I don't believe you. So look for ways to kind of use your body to express these things. And don't fall to cliches, okay? This is where we get into trouble. We do these cliches. We flop our arms and we do the cliches and we do the cliches and we do the cliches. That's like lame, man. Start thinking about subconscious emotional body gestures and body language. Start understanding this stuff. And really it comes down, for me, it's simple. Open my heart, close my heart. Okay? Open my mind, close my mind. Eye contact and body position, there's really a lot of things. You can do things with the hands too. For instance, somebody over here is talking and I'm not really paying attention. I really don't like them, so I might just, I might do this. Well, scratching an eye here, I might have an itch, I might not. But by putting my hand here between them and me, I'm protecting myself. I'm putting something between us. Okay? It's even worse if I do this. See that? This is one thing. This is something else completely different. This is really extreme. Like, I really don't know. Look at that. I'm literally hiding behind my hand when I do that. It's kind of okay. If we're engaged, we're not going to worry about this, It's just not something that we're going to really, that's what I got to do. Unless it's like, I got a bee stinging me, Okay. For the most part, if we're engaged, we go into that. We'll do things with props too. Do we put the prop between us and the character that we don't like, or do we hold it down to the side? Belle, for instance, is reading the book for Gaston. She's purposefully taking her attention and her eyes and everything and putting it in the book, and she holds the book between her and Gaston. It's not a mistake. She's saying, this thing's more important. This thing is my shield. This thing is my protection. This thing is where I want to be. And this is what I care about. So what does Gaston do? He takes the book and throws it away. He's removing obstacles. She's trying to put them in the way. Subconscious? Good stuff, right? So think about ways you can do that with props. I mean, a lot of times we follow the storyboards. If storyboards are really good, these guys have thought this stuff through, but a lot of times they haven't. A lot of times it's just character, and then you move on. Our job as animators is to take that and say, wait. How can I capture this emotional goal and express it in a gestural way that intimates what's happening? What that character's goal is. And if it's an engaging goal or if it's a disengaging goal, then I adjust the body language accordingly. And you can do that with clever use of props. You can use that with body language. You can use it with hand gestures. Somebody's like, well, if I'm engaging a person right here, I'm like, my gestures will be open. That could work. Sure, that could work. But I'm still open here. I could, that's all right. If I don't buy what that person's doing, I'm going to close them off a little bit, and I'm just going to, that could work. I'm going to do different things. I might still need to touch my face. Something animated characters don't do enough of, that human beings do all the time, is touch our faces. We do it all the time. Stop when you people watch. Just stop in 5 minutes. Look around you. Count how many times somebody touches their face. Okay, not just one person, but anybody. You'll be astounded by how many times people touch their faces. And we don't do it in animation at all. Ever. I hardly ever see it. Unless we're doing the cliches. Stop and think about it, man. Think about it. And then think about it. What the emotional drive would that be? Do I want to touch my face in a way that builds a barrier? Or do I want to touch my face in a way that opens things up? Okay? So, some things to think about. Motivation is an emotional goal, playing that goal until it either changes or it is achieved. Okay? Talking about long-term, mid-term, short-term goals. And then understanding and observing what reality is around us from people and observing and interpreting that. Okay? And one of the great tools, not the best, but one of the great tools is to understand how we use our bodies to either engage or disengage from things. Driven, of course, by our goals. Okay? If my goal is such that, for Belle, for instance, she wants to find a man who loves her and understands her. She sees a guy who's not bad looking and he seems kind of nice to her and seems kind of like her. She's going to be opened up. Big, heart open. I want to engage this guy. Okay? But if it's someone like Aston, who's rude and self-centered and doesn't appreciate the things she appreciates, she's going to be closed off. She's going to put up barriers. And she does. Okay? So understanding these things then starts to tell us how to express it externally. Because ultimately, as animators, we're external. We don't have the ability to trick our minds until we get the days where we can plug into the brain and have the character act. We can't make the puppet or the drawing do what we want it to do by tricking our minds. That's the actor's job. The actor's job is to trick their minds so that their body behaves a certain way. Our job is to break it down and understand what's happening internally and then find a way to express it externally so that it seems sincere and real and promising. Okay, so that's all I got for this month as far as my rambles and ideas. Next month, I forgot what's next month. Well, I'll send out an update email. I know that I have something planned. Okay? It's planned. I just forgot what it is. You never forget anything? I'll wait till you get to be a little bit older. You'll forget things all the time. Like, where's your toothbrush? Where's my toothbrush? Do you have my toothbrush? Okay, I guess not. All right. That's all for this month. Thanks a bunch. Thanks everybody for your patience and for your support and all these things. I'm real sorry for being late these last couple of months. It's been crazy. Been absolutely crazy. But things are settling down. We're turning a corner. Life's good. Life's good. So you guys be good to each other. God bless. And have fun animating.